Do, do.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
Hi, welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the program. My name is Dean, and we got a humdinger for you today. A real humdinger. We're going to talk domestic extremism in Canada and the rise of it with my friend, Mr. Mubin Shaikh, former CSIS and RCMP undercover guy. Now he teaches how to unload extremism around the world for Seneca College. He's a professor, great guy. So we're going to touch base with him in just a couple of minutes and talk about the rise of extremism here in Canada, specifically white extremism, because we got white extremists, and I want to get to those guys. Also, we're going to have former MMA combat superstar Justin Bruckman talk about Fury Wilder, I believe, coming up a little later on in the program. Also, the end is coming for Conspiracy Knobs. We've got lots to get to about Thanksgiving as well. And without further ado, let's bring everybody in. Please welcome to the program Lachlan Cross, James DeFiore, and our guest today, superstar, Mr. Mubin Shaikh, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mubin Shaikh on Twitter is where you can find him. He's back. We tried to arrange something for yesterday. It was funny because, I know Mubin's a fan of mine. I'm a fan of his. And I'm like, hey, can we have you on the show Monday? He's like, no problem. And then I sent him a note on Monday morning. I'm like, hey, listen, we're a little short-staffed because I forgot it was Thanksgiving. And he sends me one back. He goes, yeah, I guess I totally forgot about it, so no big deal. We'll just move it to Tuesday.
Big fan.
You sound like you could be a co-host.
Yeah.
How are you, dude? How was your weekend? Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, how was your weekend, Mubin? All right?
Yeah, the usual. Stayed home.
Yeah.
Nothing much.
But did you do Thanksgiving stuff? Like, do you get a turkey? Do you do what everybody else does? I'm assuming you do. Some people do, some people don't, depending on how you feel about. As my friend who's Indigenous called it, National Colonial Day. So
yeah, I just observe the day off and I eat whatever I want. It doesn't necessarily have to be turkey. I think mine was a veal shank.
Wow.
So
Well done.
Thanksgiving veal shank.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, you often put your food on Twitter, by the way, and it annoys me because there's like, oh, look at that. He just whipped up like some kind of lemon chicken breast that looks delicious, and everything I cook is fucking burned.
I got 5 kids, so I got to feed the feed the mouths.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, the wife and I didn't have cable, so. No, it took a while.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
I knew you weren't Catholic. That much is true.
I'm suppressing so many jokes right now. But go ahead.
Yeah, aren't we all? But listen, I'm glad you're here because it's been interesting, and you and I were kind of shooting the shit about domestic extremism, and I saw you post an article about these cats out of, I believe it is Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken. A guy named Bullman.
Why is all of these things, any shit story, it's like, it's your neck Edmonton. Of the woods, Locke? And you know these guys?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Is it the same town that had the religious gathering or the COVID party? Isn't it the same town?
Edson? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just kind of...
Edson is that's a little bit west, but close enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they had a party and a bunch of people got sick. Actually, one of the husbands is in an ICU in Edmonton, currently dying right now from COVID-19 because of that party. Yeah.
Well, the thing that I kind of laugh about, it's not, I don't even laugh. It's like, it's like there's this divide between, like, once you get to Manitoba and then you head to Saskatchewan and Alberta and British Columbia. It's like extremism is a real thing. I know it's a real thing all over the place. And Mubin, being involved with the Toronto 18 and breaking that cell group up, you made a point of saying, hey, listen, reading this story and holy hell, this is wild. I know 18 Muslim guys were arrested for much less than what these guys actually had in their possession. How are there not more arrests? And you tag Bill Blair and a few other people. But I thought it was a fucking great point. And I thought that, the arrest of Mole Man, this 4chan user in Alberta that was charged with extremism and harboring guns and illegal weapons, and we'll get to some of the details. But I thought it was really interesting that you drew that analogy back to the Toronto 18 because it's true, right?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about, like, domestic extremism and all the fucking losers that we've been making fun of here, that have shown their faces at anti-vax rallies and show up with, swastikas on a placard. And I'm like, what is the tie-in, and is there one between domestic extremism and what you've been dealing with, which is extremism in all forms, or religious extremism? Because I don't see there being that much of a difference other than how they're treated.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's largely the biggest difference between them all. To be professional, you have to look at all the threats through the same lens. Whether you're brown, white, yellow, purple, orange, tall, dark, whatever. If you're committing crimes, I mean, you're going to get investigated or hopefully arrested and prosecuted. So certainly when I read the story of this guy, I was pretty surprised that, I mean, the guy got bail on top of that. That's just like, okay, never mind that it took that long to arrest him, because his activities go back like 2018. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. What the gist of the story is? There's this dude named Mole Man Lock. In case you haven't read it,
I don't know anything about that. When did this break?
I know.
Like, this is not
what was
being
it, Thursday,
covered.
Mubin? Was it Thursday that story?
Yeah,
came
it was
out?
last week-ish, something like that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to go look into it because I don't know much about it at all.
So the story is
slipped by me.
The story is that this guy and his pals, for years, I believe it was since 2015 or 2016, if I'm not mistaken, had been collecting rifles and posting hate and anti-Semitic messages, anti-Muslim messages, very hateful stuff about the government, how they were coming to, and they were building these tunnels all over the place underneath, where they were training. Yeah, tunnels, legitimate tunnels. Like here, there's one of them right here. This dude was building these tunnels, and in those tunnels, if I'm not mistaken, moving, they were not only training, but they were, collecting firearms like this stuff here, tons of ammo, and these RCMP Integrated National Service said 34 charges against Kelvin Benjamin Moray. RCMP executed the search warrant on several properties, resulting in a seizure of numerous firearms, other paraphernalia, images. And that ain't it. I mean, like rations and, homemade bomb making material and stuff like that. Does this happen? Like, is this happening way more than we think?
I think so. I think this stuff has been going on for a long time, and there really hasn't been that level of law enforcement response that we come to expect. There was a story done even on the 3 percenters in Canada, the Alberta branch. Vice did a story on them where these guys were openly out with weapons and talking about, the takeover by, non-whites, and, doing all sorts of like playing like they're military, and even threatening the police, saying if the government came, to us, they know that we're going to basically respond back. And I don't think they mean with, flowers and lollipops, right? So this stuff's been going on for a long time, several years. I haven't even heard of a single arrest of any of those individuals. I'll give the authorities the benefit of doubt. There's probably an undercover investigation going on with those groups, but at some point they have to be arrested.
I think they do keep an eye on a lot of these guys, right? Like if they know that they're active or whatever. The problem is, and I'm not I'm not saying that I'm not giving the authorities an excuse, but there are a lot of doomsday preppers in Alberta. And the reason I know this is anytime Costco advertises like an extra large case of something, like, we've got the largest box of Kraft macaroni and cheese on sale this weekend for $285. It's fucking gone right away.
Doomsday Dan needs to eat too.
Yeah, everybody goes after that shit. So, and if you are one of those guys, you got to rush to the Costco to get it because it's going to go, right? Because guys are literally, they're stocking bunkers, and it sounds funny, but it's happening. I got a couple of friends that have offered me space when things go from shit to fuck.
You can
So
sleep in my silo. It'll be great.
Yeah.
I was wondering, this sort of reflects the trend in the United States too. I think it's been since like 2013, maybe even earlier. You probably know, where the FBI lists white supremacist groups and hate groups as like the number one source of terrorism in the United States. And isn't the media and authorities sort of like dropping the ball here? Because I try very hard not to call everything racist. Like I think that there needs to be some sort of like evidentiary sort of, process where you can determine if something is racist or white supremacist or whatever you want to call it. But how is it possible that we never hear any stories from the greatest source of terrorism in North America?
Well, in the U.S., like the FBI, DHS, they realize they're now putting out, intelligence reports and law enforcement only bulletins, basically stating that, listen, like the white supremacists, the anti-government militia groups, they're on the rise. They were actually on the rise since the election of Obama. That's what really triggered them. I think the membership in groups went up like 600%. In fact, the Alberta 3%ers that I was talking about, they got really triggered by your good friend Justin Trudeau's initial election. And that's what set them off, and they continue to make chapters and whatever. So you hear about some things. I mean, some plots that come out here and there. There was a U.S. soldier who was connected to Order of the Nine Angels, a satanic neo-Nazi group who was basically feeding information so that the enemies could attack his own military unit. There are others who, most of these white supremacists, they commit personal offenses, meaning it could be homicides at that level, just individual. But then we have seen larger, mass scale attacks, Tree of Life synagogue attack, and a number of other attacks where these guys have been doing exactly the same thing that we're conditioned to expect that only brown people are doing. So it's happening. I mean, they're definitely killing people. When you look at the statistics, there have been more people killed by far right attackers than Islamist attackers in the past few years.
Can I just clarify the weapons comparison? Because isn't the like and look, I think these guys should be in jail. I don't think they should have got bail. I think that if they were Muslim, they'd clearly be in jail without bail, and they'd be terrorists, and it'd be a bigger story. Yeah. So I get all that. But the difference in weapons, isn't that mostly because they tried to buy 2,000 pounds of fertilizer from cops? Like if they were successful in buying that, then they would have definitely been the granddaddy of weapons between the two groups, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, one does not simply purchase 3 tons of ammonium nitrate.
True enough.
And so they were just too dumb to realize that. Yeah. After Oklahoma City bombing, obviously there were significant controls over that stuff. It actually turned out to be kitty litter that was given to them in a controlled delivery. But I mean, the one weapon they did have on them was a 9mm pistol. Okay, in the Toronto group. Wow. This guy alone had 8 weapons, 7 of which are prohibited. Yeah. Like you cannot even own them at all.
First time I heard of an AK-74 too.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah. Our weapon, we divide our things into restricted and non-restricted firearms. This guy had 7 prohibited firearms. And the one 9mm pistol would have been a restricted firearm. And including on top of that, all the high capacity magazines, like we can't have more than 5 rounds in a rifle magazine, right? This guy had like an AK style magazine holds generally 30 rounds, right? So, and then also the triacetone triperoxide, TATP, I mean, that is just that by itself is
That's the
huge.
ledge.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legislation.
Jimmy
That
streaked
by
that
its-
a couple years ago.
I bet he did. That by itself is what, Mubin? That what did you say
Well,
that chemical
that
they
by
had?
itself is just takes it to a whole other level. I mean, these are legitimate bomb making ingredients that have been used the world
Yeah.
over. So considering all these things that he had, one individual, 3 of those weapons were loaded at the time of his arrest. So
These are all points that would be made to crucify a Muslim person.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah.
keep in mind his dad probably owns a car dealership, so we got to cut him a little bit of slack.
Yes.
Because he
His
buys
dad's a
ads at your
captain of
radio
industry.
station. Is that why?
Yeah. But I mean that's the whole point. I mean that's what I'm trying to get at is this guy's got a few thousand rounds of ammo. He's got a bunch of prohibited weapons. He's fucking killing goats and it's just
They
and
didn't kill
conducting
Doug.
camps.
Did they kill
They
Doug?
killed him. They
Doug
ate
and
him.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
They killed
they
Doug the
posted-
goat.
What a
Yeah.
bunch of assholes!
And they
They
posted
probably
his
did other
severed
things
head.
with Doug too.
They
I
posted
was
the severed
wondering
head
why
of the
they
goat.
had him in there. I thought maybe he was
they
like a
post-
mascot.
They
You
didn't
said
want
they
him to
posted
talk.
the severed head of that goat. Poor Doug.
Yeah, in 4chan, in the 4chan forums that they were in, because somebody was trying to prove that this guy actually was the mole man they know about. And so he posted this picture in response, basically saying, yeah, guys, it's me. And so that goat, they later posted the severed head of that goat. Now, what I'm really wondering is why they did this. And I'm trying to figure out if there is a satanic connection to this group. Because these guys do that. They will do like ritual slaughter of a goat for whatever sick idea they have.
So we're neo-Nazis. How do we make things worse? I got an idea. Let's be Satanists as well.
Well, and that part kills me. And if you know anything about the Christian faith is like super dead against goats. It's like the if in born again circles, goats are considered the devil reincarnate. If I'm not mistaken, Shake. Like if I believe that that's the case, right? So I don't know about the symbolism or whatever the deal is. Well, no, I'm just-
Ironically, to most Christians, Jesus, the goat, right?
all
Oh,
time,
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. As white people, we've been taught and shown that extremism is a Muslim problem. Terrorism is a Muslim problem, right? I would love, because I've read the story, I've spoken with you. It seems to me that is absolutely not the case, and it's being proven out. What are the correlations? Like, you've been, an extremist on the other side. You've come back to, kind of understand, educate, and then go out and make the world a bit of a safer place. That's your goal. As someone who's worked undercover for CSIS and RCMP and who's, broken up terror cells and continues to advise governments on how to do this. Do you see, is it not the kind of the same playbook, like that Christian white extremism isn't it just the exact same thing as what we've seen this entire time? And what are the hallmarks? Like, what are the representations?
Yeah, it's they really are mirror images of each other, right? I think the fact that when you live in a white Christian majority society, and you have this majority minority groups dynamic, the way in which the majorities always look down on the minorities is well established. Anytime a member of the minority does something, a criminal offense of some kind, it's always considered worse. And if a member of my in-group commits the same crime, well, I don't look at it as such a bad thing. So there's a completely different way in which the same activities are viewed depending on if you belong to majority or minority group. Moreover, if you look at the use of religious symbology, so we see this in even the anti-vaxxers now, right? I hate this guy Pawlowski, Artur Pawlowski. You fascist, I'm from Poland. I know everyone is fascist. Like, they bring their crosses out. They really use Christian symbolism. And it's questionable because in Christianity, there isn't really like a juris corpus, a body of law that you do have in Islam or like in Judaism. But you see the same use of religious rhetoric, the same weaponization of religious ideology. And it's not really mentioned much whenever, nobody really says, oh, like they don't really focus on the Christianness of these individuals.
Bingo.
It'll always be something else. But, I find often that when it is a Muslim guy, if he just has a Muslim name, then we say it's terrorism. Like a quick example, the Danforth shooter in Toronto, Muslim name guy, Faisal Hussein or something, who just basically walked by outdoor patios and started shooting people up. But he had a Muslim name. So for weeks and weeks, you had, right-wing media outlets insisting that it had to be terrorism. And it just kind of shows you that if it's a certain kind of crime, and depending on who the perpetrator is, we tend to draw these immediate connections, which really are not warranted in many cases.
And so baked in too, right? Like that is baked into my psyche that a terrorist is brown.
Yeah.
That. That's the truth. And I read
That's
about
what we
one
see,
man,
right?
and I'm like,
it's what we see in the
Yeah.
media, right? There's this disproportionate coverage of particular attacks by certain people, and then we come to think, oh, there are so many of these terrorists. And this is something that the media does. Media in general, I know it's a wide, vague term, media gives terrorism a longevity it might not otherwise enjoy. By repeatedly showing clips of certain things over and over and over, we have this skewed version of reality. Now, when you look at instances like this, like, look, the fact that this should have gotten far more coverage than it did, the fact that he even got bail, this was shocking to me. Like, I don't want to disparage, of course, the criminal justice system, whatever, but I'd really like to understand how the judge came to the conclusion that, if you see in the article, there's one article where basically the judge says, oh, he bristled at the fact that the Crown was prosecuting this guy in this way. And he made the reference that he felt that it was some kind of overreach, like in the McCarthy era, how people went after communists. And it was like, I was really surprised at that reference, because why would that be the first thing to come to your mind? Or why would that be a thing to come to your mind when you're dealing with an individual who has all these weapons, who, I mean, surely the judge has heard whatever else the Crown has been saying about his involvement in far-right groups. And I think the argument went, well, it's not so established that he's a member of a far-right group. So it almost seemed like there was this benefit of doubt that was given to him, which I guarantee you is not available to other people of a different skin color.
No, I would 100% agree with you. And that's what I got out of the article too, is like there's two sets of rules in this country for people who are domestic extremists or considered terrorists, right? Is that if your skin color is not white, then they'll look at it as a completely different crime. That's how I felt in reading the story, if I'm not mistaken.
I always, whenever I view all these characters on the far right, the kinds of things that they're doing, I just imagine that if this was a brown guy and this guy's name was not Johnny, but it was Muhammad, how completely different the response would be. And this is the problem.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say, this is a problem that the U.S. is having right now with many people who subscribe to what they consider themselves to be conservative, but then they have all these crazy ideas which basically justify violent action. So on one hand, it's like, we don't want to say obviously all conservatives are extremists. That's obviously not true, but they're coming from a very particular side of the political spectrum, right? They're not liberals. They're coming from a very particular side of that spectrum. And so it's like, it's difficult, because what do you do with political groups like, People's Party of Canada, for example, where they're legitimized? I mean, they're an anti-Semitic, group,
Big time.
and they have a platform, and the leader gets interviewed by major media outlets. Like, the guy didn't even win his own seat twice, but yet, we've given him a platform. We've legitimized it because he's a political party. And that's what all these guys are trying to do. Chris Sky trying to, get the money. We'll decide what we're going to do politically later. They all want to. This is what they're all trying to do: infiltrate the political system and get mainstream acceptance from it.
Do you think one of the reasons why Muslim extremists and these, I don't know what their religious bent is, but the white supremacist guys that got arrested
Christian.
and got bail.
Christian.
But don't you
Yeah,
think
they
that
killed a goat,
don't you think that
though.
there's
Come
more?
on.
Don't you think there's more in an
Gotta be
emphasis?
Satanists.
Hold on a second. Don't you think there's more of an emphasis on a group that's motivated clearly by not just religion, but devout followers of said religion versus, and I'm not giving them a pass, but I don't see.
No,
At
you're
least I
right.
haven't read
Cultural
anything.
upbringing versus
At
a
least I haven't
cultural
read
upbringing.
anything, but at least I haven't read anything about like ceremonial, Jesus, we're your soldiers and we're going to do this for Jesus. Like, isn't it more political on one side and religious on the other? And again, I just want to differentiate and know, understand the facts on the ground. I'm not saying that they're not bad or worse or whatever. I'm just saying that because religion will make a really sane person do really insane things. I'm not sure politics as well, but I don't know if these guys, because I haven't read enough about them, sort of fit that same bill of like, Jesus told me I need to blow up this building or whatever, which is decidedly different than just a political aim, I think.
Yeah, you're. I know what you're trying to say. I think I know what you're trying to say, and you're largely right. I think you have two types of, I would say, extremist Christians. One, you have the type who are hardcore Bible believers and who absolutely are like, like they believe that their understanding is God sanctioned, God given, God anointed. Okay, whatever their views are, they will just say, the Bible is our law. We don't submit to anyone but God. These sorts of things that you're hearing in the Christian right, you also hear on the Muslim right. Okay. But then you also have those on the Christian side who are cultural Christians. They really don't. It's not like there is a Bible verse that you can go to and say, hey, look, this talks about fighting the enemies, blah, blah, blah. But that's because obviously the nature of the New Testament as a scripture is very different than the Quran. I mean, I'm not going to go into that, but like Jesus Christ's mission was for 3 years. He didn't even really, there was no fighting that took place with the Roman Empire per se.
He might not have existed.
It was like, well, I mean, I'm not one of those guys, but let's say, what do they call it?
I am. I'm one of those guys.
Didn't exist as a historical figure.
Well, as a
there's no
historical
actual
figure,
documentation.
I believe he existed in as much as like other great philosophers of our time existed.
It was a popular name back then too.
Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, like that. I believe he existed like those guys did. Do I believe he was raised from the dead after 3 days hanging out in a cave?
Oh yeah, well,
no.
that's a.
Do
Yeah.
I believe in Noah's Ark? No.
Well, one day
that.
we'll have just a podcast on religion. That would be fun.
I love that.
But
love that.
I mean, something not controversial,
be
right? Like
sick.
something very simple.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
just
want,
relax.
but I wanted to just reiterate what James was saying, like reinforce that point that you're mostly right in that most of these guys, they don't have a religious upbringing. The Christian side, right? You do have those that are the hardcore, very indoctrinated Christians. I mean, they practice, go to church. Everything revolves around their interpretation of Christianity. I mean, the whole idea of onward Christian soldiers,
They're the scary ones.
That's known for centuries, right? Like this stuff
marching out to war. Remember that?
Yep,
Onward Christian soldiers marching out to war.
Even in the US context, you had Donald Rumsfeld putting Bible verses on defense memos that he would give to George Bush. We also had in the American context in the Iraq War, a gun manufacturer who put Bible verses engraved onto the rifles. They came to be known as the Jesus rifles. Okay. Wow. So there is this militancy that is melded with Christianity in one side. But in this particular case, I don't see that. A lot of these guys who they claim, like Artur Pawlowski is on the first group, like the hardcore indoctrinated. But then you have others like Pat King and these posers who are not, like, they don't know anything about the religion. So there is a difference. I would agree.
And if we're talking about domestic terrorism, we're talking about these individuals specifically here in the Edmonton area. Are we sure that this is a religious-based organization, or that we got there because of that belief structure, or does this have more to do with the ongoing like mistrust of public authorities and the division in that regard? I mean, I just think I think we are where we are, and that side of extremism will continue to grow just based purely on people's dissatisfaction with where we are.
Yeah, so this is basically what came first, like the chicken or the egg. What came first,
Yeah.
the ideology or the grievance? Because what happens is you get times where the ideology comes first, person gets indoctrinated into something, that something is telling them to view the world in a particular way. You're being persecuted, you're this, your rights are being taken away, and so on. That's your grievance. The ideology is an action enabling idea. So sometimes a person will be indoctrinated first and then find the grievance, but or you'll have people who already experience grievances or have grievances, and then they'll just attach an ideology onto it as a cover. So you ask a good question. I think really my gut instinct is to say that it is not Christianity based.
No,
at its core. It's more of a political grievance.
Yeah, we got a lot of that, and again, I know that everybody wants to point fingers at Alberta, but this is happening across the country. This is not a unique situation to the Western provinces at all. People are fucking pissed.
Oh, totally, totally, they are
angry about everything,
and we saw it. And we saw it like this election, and we touched on it. And I wanted to come back around it. I've got two more things. I know you got to go pick up your kids, Mubin, and I thank you for your time. But the PPC doesn't exist. The PPC, sorry, the PPC doesn't exist if Maxime Bernier has a Muslim name, and if the people that rallied around him were Muslim. Like, that's what I got out of that. I'm like, holy fuck, this guy's just parroting all the same hate that other terrorists have been parroting for this long. And he's allowed to fucking start a political party around it. Did that kind of add fuel to the fire as far as you're like, because that's, to me, the anti-vaxxers and all that stuff kind of goes into the same bin, which is people who are just so mentally confused that they're like fucking angry and they can't understand, the cognitive reality around them. So they just rail against stuff and they see other people doing it. But I'm telling you, if these guys weren't white, if the PPC wasn't largely made up of a bunch of neckbeards from, rural areas of the country, if they were, brown people, that the whole movement gets squashed. That's my opinion. Like, I think legally speaking, they're not even allowed to operate if that happens in this country, according to what I saw.
It's weird because I've seen there are like minority PPC candidates. It's almost like seeing, black and brown folks in the Proud Boys. And you had this like even way back, like you can go back to the 80s and 90s skinhead days when you would get people who are not white who thought they were skinheads, who wanted to be with the skinheads for some reason. So you'll find this often, that even where you have a group that's like inherently anti-immigrant and like anti-non-white, they're, as long as the people agree with the grievances and reinforce those grievances of theirs, might not be on the racial side. Like, in fact, you will even get brown people talking about how we need to control immigration into this country, right? So I think you're right. If it was any other kind of party, it wouldn't have taken off. But it's because it represents, I think, the white majority culture that it does resonate with so many people.
Yeah, it's fucked. And what are you making tonight for your post-workout meal?
Oh, geez, good question. Probably I'm gonna go for some honey glazed salmon. I think I'm gonna do the salmon today. Yeah.
You got to follow this guy on Twitter, by the way, at Mr. Mubin Shaikh.
Terrorism and expert dad chef.
He not only deals in terrorism worldwide, but fuck, can he make a delicious looking chicken breast sandwich? It is unbelievable. And the beef that, like, I was just watching, he was like, I'm gonna call him for that beef recipe that you put like some Arctic char and some potatoes in it, and it just looked delicious.
You can't fight extremism on an empty stomach, Dean.
That is correct. That is correct.
Thanks, Mubin. We appreciate you. Thanks so much for your time.
Cheers.
Thanks,
All
man.
right, take care.
Thank
Mubin Shaikh. He former undercover CSIS RCMP guy, and I wanted to talk to him about that story, but I also wanted to talk to him about, and no offense, Locke, I know it's not just Western Canada, but like it's same to me.
Right? I'm not upset about it. I am actually shocked, and I wasn't kidding. I've not heard about this story. at all. It is not getting coverage. It just isn't.
Same.
I might be onto
it's
something.
terrorism.
His dad must own a car dealership. I mean, I know that sounds funny, but if it's true, I'm gonna shit my pants because
the weird thing about it is that you'd think CBC would just be all over it. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of white guys that are considered to be racist who are storing illegal firearms and posing for pictures in weird places and killing goats. I'm surprised this isn't like national news and will be until
I don't
whatever
get
is
it.
settled.
I don't
Yeah.
understand. Like I wasn't the only one. There was a couple of people in the thread that were like, I haven't heard of this. And Stone 1A, that's Positive Mike. He fucking lives here too. And yeah, I haven't seen anything. And I watch a variety of news. Like I watch quite a bit of television news.
That was nowhere. That was in the Edmonton Journal.
I did not see
and
it.
I know
I
the
don't read
Edmonton
any
Journal
papers.
is a post media company, and but it didn't appear anywhere else. Like it wasn't in the Toronto Sun, it wasn't in any other post media outlets. Nothing. It was just in the Edmonton Journal because the dude's from Edmonton.
What did he get caught with exactly? So is it just a firearms situation?
It was an arsenal.
Dude, he got caught with everything.
So he got they tracked him down and got his arms supply, right? Is that what
yeah,
we're
so
and then they
the dude's name
uncovered
was
all of the tunneling and all the stockpiling of gear.
Yeah, so police
I
have
just
been
hope
kind
he's
of like
vaxxed.
me too. I hope he wore a mask the whole time, because that'll really upset me. Like the goat, they killed Doug and ate him.
That's such a great name for a goat too.
Doug, the goat. That's what I wanted to name my dog, by the way, Doug. But they killed Doug, and they got caught with like 1,000 rounds of ammo and a bunch of illegal machine guns, like weapons of war. And they found it all in like a tunnel that this fucking guy was digging that was a couple 100 feet long, and they found some bomb making material. Like, holy fuck. They're so cool about like the government news outlets, which by the way, this is how you know the fucking mainstream media doesn't give two shits about your public safety. Like none. Is that they're not fucking talking about these white inbred losers from Western Canada that
really
are trying
strange.
to fucking take over something, trying to shoot people, trying to fucking kill people, trying to scare people. Like if these guys were brown, they'd be fucking dead. They'd be dead. And they got bail.
It kind of makes you feel like
there was a Muslim that did he got into a U-Haul and that was all anybody talked about for months, and and he was trying to run people over in downtown Edmonton. Right?
From the beginning of this pandemic, it felt kind of like the news was only really reporting on the one story, and I sort of get it. But then, do you guys remember, like, I think it was like the fall of 2020, there was a couple of stories about Toronto gun violence. And then I saw a thread, I don't remember, I think it was on Twitter. And someone was saying that at where they worked, and it was like a middle-sized newspaper, I think it was a post-media paper, they were editors were basically being told not to report on things that could cause mass panic in the public during a pandemic. And I wonder if that's what we're seeing. Don't go heavy on the terrorism story because we're already all flustered and all we care about is vaccines. Something like that. You know what I mean?
That's panicking people enough. So maybe they just don't want to pile on. I mean, I think it would be refreshing to hear a story about a guy who's stockpiling arms just north of me.
Yeah. As long as Jesus wasn't a
fucking bit of a break.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like it's a public safety thing. And 2 weeks later, a guy in Ontario brings you onto a show and you're like, squeeze me? Pardon me? What's happening 5 blocks away from me? Oh, nothing. Just a bunch of extremist domestic crazies that want to shoot everything up in this. Like, dude, this is fucking unbelievable to me. These are the steps of the ledge, dude.
Yeah.
Do they have guns?
The steps
I can't tell from that far away.
Yeah, dude. Yes, he does. And that is Mole Man himself.
That
with a
is
9mm standing in front of the fucking legislature. Yeah, totally a crime. Yeah. And he's posting he's such a fucking idiot.
I don't know if you're allowed to walk around the ledge grounds with a 9mm. Just saying.
They did. And then when
I
they weren't doing that,
I don't know the ins and outs of the law.
When they weren't doing that, they were taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys and hiding in this hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. They hate themselves, in other words.
I know nothing. Show that picture again. Just
Yeah,
pop
okay,
it up
good.
here.
The go-
I
Hey,
know
by the way, keep
nothing-
talking because I'm gonna go pee. But continue.
No, not the picture of the guys. Oh, he's not going to do it. I'll get him to.
the guy on the
do it
far
when-
right of that picture is the guy you don't want to fuck with. That stiff doesn't know how to pose guy.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that's the guy they all pick on. Like
Oh, really?
He's the James of the group because he's wearing skinny jeans.
Who wears skinny? Your coworker wears skinny jeans?
No, it's just an observation.
Oh, okay.
Compared to the rest of the guys, and he's got his cell phone. He's got an iPhone in his pocket. You can.
Those
tell.
are the guys that
In
blow.
his
Those are
front
the guys that blow up shit. Those are the guys that do mass shootings. The ones that get picked on.
Yeah, and they're probably semen retention warriors as well.
Well,
I
if
just
they
feel
were,
bad.
they'd have it together a lot more than they do.
I feel bad for the goat. I didn't. You ruined my day when you told me Doug got offed.
I know he got killed. Look at poor Doug. He's just sitting there. He's like, I'm just a goat. Fucking relax. And they're like, we're eating you. And they
Look
eat
at the
him.
guy with the skinny jeans. That's the guy
The
they
guy
pick
on the
on.
right is the dangerous one. Yeah,
Yeah, they pick on him.
yeah, that's right. Maybe
Or
he'll
they
shoot
call
all of
him
them
s-
instead.
They call him skinny fat. That's what they call him. He's the skinny fat member. Anyway, how was Thanksgiving, lads? Was it good?
We
ahead.
we went to a friend's place and had and he got one of these, like, he got a turkey from a farm. He gets all his meat from this farm just outside of town. So he gets like pigs, he gets cows, and he got a turkey. And it's like one of those things where you got to call a month or two in advance and say, yeah, I'm in. And then you show up and you give them $100 or whatever, and they hand you a turkey. And holy mother of, it was so good. And
Was
his
it good?
wife Dee is an unbelievable cook. So we got treated very, very well on Thanksgiving. I woke up on Sunday morning. I'm used to my drinking habit, but I woke up and I had a raging hangover on Sunday. I did not feel good, man. Red wine.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
All the red
Why you
wine
need
hangovers
cocaine
are
when
the
you have red
worst.
wine?
Yeah.
Cocaine gets rid of the hangover. Just gives you
I don't
cocaine.
think it does.
I didn't have an 8-ball kicking around the house when I got up on Sunday.
Listen, I don't know what to tell you.
So I went for a walk.
Honey, I forgot to get an 8-ball. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
How are we going to
Advil in
feel
me.
shameful and guilty tomorrow?
Yeah.
Did you have to do the tour, or did you get to kind of pick and choose? Because that's what I didn't miss this year. As single Thanksgiving, my very first single Thanksgiving in a very long time, I didn't have to go to anybody's house. I invited only people over who I wanted to see that day. Put on a big feast. Didn't have to sit and talk to crazy relatives. Didn't have to sit and listen to stories about, oh, did you hear about that guy over there? None of that. I didn't have to drive an hour and a half. I didn't have to get ready to go somewhere. I had people over that I liked, my kids. That was it. That was it. I fucking, and I was thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, being single around the holidays is like a fucking life hack. There is no messing around with anything you don't want to mess around with. I watched Squid Game, the entire series,
I haven't seen that
after
yet. Is that
everybody
worth
left.
it?
Fucking unbelievable.
Did you watch
Yeah.
it dubbed or subtitled?
That's a question. I watched both. I watched subtitled and dubbed and thoroughly enjoyed it. But then I started thinking to
Like at the same
myself,
time?
as wonderful as this day is, who hates subtitles more than me? I don't know anybody. I fucking hate subtitles. But it was so good, I watched the whole thing.
I
It's
always
good,
watch
eh?
subtitles when I have the choice because
Phenomenal.
the dub shit always ruins it. Like it ruins the acting, it ruins the vibe of the movie. I think.
This one didn't bother me. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was so intense. It was crazy. If you haven't seen Squid Game, I highly suggest you do it. It
Except
is
for
like
the-
literally. It's like the Hunger Games for adults who fucked up their entire life and they get one chance to make good, but it's life or death, and they're all kids games that they got to play. So one was like green light, red light. 256 people got shot in the head.
Okay.
Yeah, you know
spoiler
what?
alert.
It's funny
You know-
you bring that up because that show got brought up at Thanksgiving, and I've seen it, but I have
Incredible.
not. I have not watched it. And the couple that invited us to their house, they had both watched it. Yeah. So, you know what?
Oh, it's incredible.
Dean has an excellent life hack, and I understand that the single life hack.
Yes.
Or you can do
you
what
don't.
I've done and just ostracize yourself from all family and friends and basically never get invited anywhere. That's also very convenient, and that's what I've accomplished over my years on this planet.
Is that what happened with you this week? Has it been like this gradual kind of shining of family members and friends and acting like a tool at different events, and then you finally, at 51, people are like, we're just not going to invite Lachlan this year?
For some reason, it started a lot earlier. It wasn't a gradual process. It was sort of like it was sort of like very early on, somebody decided.
Someone decided. Isn't that a finger in the bum? Lachlan can't come this year.
It's been going on for a long time. Family doesn't come here. We don't tend to keep friends very long. I think it might have something to do with me.
No, don't do that to yourself, Lachlan.
But you know what? It's funny because I was talking to my dad on the weekend, and he's like, "Son, are you okay having Thanksgiving by yourself?" Because he was at my nephew's wedding, and I didn't go to that either. And I'm like, "No, I'm good." and I love my family; they're wonderful people. And if they were in town, like my immediate family, I would have said, "Yeah, fuck, come on over. Let's enjoy some Thanksgiving together." Because I enjoy being with them.
My immediate family comes to Edmonton and doesn't tell me. So there's that. Yeah, I've got a brother and sister. Half, mind you, that visit Edmonton on a regular basis. And then when I see them at a function once every 10 years, they did, I was just in Edmonton a couple weeks back.
Yeah, right around the corner from where your house is.
But does that upset you, or do you look at it like it's a favor? Because there's two. We don't have a problem with things. We have a problem with our perception of things, and the perception that we're taught to have of
have you been reading
not going to family events is this. Is that you should want to be around all that chaos. You should want to be around all the backtalking and the infighting.
I will be honest
with
you.
No, I'm good. I'm perfect.
I've gone through numerous stages in my life of my
adult existence.
I'm trying to think of the word like my angst, I guess, is the best way of putting it. I've gone through different stages of it through my life with respect to my anger towards my family. And I have over the years just rationalized it this way. My upbringing was very different. Like my dad fucked off when I was 7 or 8 years old. Left my mom by herself.
Was it something that you did?
Absolutely. I'm sure of it. Finger in the bum thing, right? Couldn't handle it anymore. Okay, no, I listen, they got married when they were 15 or 16 and 18. I mean, that was doomed, like right from the start. It was a shotgun fucking wedding. I know it was. My grandfather, because the year he died, that was the year my dad fucked off on my mom, right? Like I don't think that those two are coincidental, right? So I've always over the years just rationalized, okay, I got a fucked up existence. So what are my expectations for this family life outside of what happened there? So I've kind of let it go. Mind you, we've kind of raised our girls in a very traditional family environment, right? We do Christmases, we buy gifts, we do Thanksgiving, we travel together. Like family is very, very important. So my anger now to my family, my immediate family on my side, is that they don't know my kids. And that pisses me off. So I have a lot of undealt with anger revolving around the fact that my mom and my dad have no clue who my 24 and 22-year-old daughters are, who are fucking awesome, by the way. They're unbelievable human beings. And I can't do anything about that because I probably played a large part in them staying away from the house, right? So I kind of got to accept a little bit of blame on that side of things.
Are you bombastic at family functions or just rude?
Look at me. Do you think I'm any different off this podcast?
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, James, you're also extremely dysfunctional, and I think that's why you and I get along so well. But
we don't get along that well, and I just like you. That's all. I just don't think you're a bad guy.
I think you're looking at it through that's a very glass half empty description of your family dynamic around the holidays. Okay? You got to turn it around. Again, it comes down to perception. Sure, there's some resentment there because things didn't go the way you want. But the lighter side of that is, guess what you didn't have to do on the weekend? Go to 7 different Thanksgivings and hate 6.5 of them.
And I have actually, that was part of the extension of this conversation. I wanted to add
You won.
Over the years, I have said
51-year-old
this.
Lachlan won.
I have said this to people. The best thing you can do is move out of the town your family lives in, because that's what I did. And then what you need is some sort of, like, you need that side of the family to have some sort of real strong connection to the town that you left, so that they don't want to come and visit you. Or also have a fucking just trailer trash family that can't afford to fly and see you. That works as well.
Yeah. It does, but and listen, I can tell you this. This has been 22 years. This is my 23rd year of having Thanksgivings as a father of 3 young men or a young kids. It sucked. It sucked for 23 years. Like, my time with the kids, and I would always say the same thing. I'm like, why can't we just stay here? Why can't we just start our own tradition? Why do we have to fucking bag everybody up and make a plate of fucking yams and then dry out toast for croutons or fucking whatever it is? And why can't we just fucking do it here? And it was like, you don't understand, these people will be dead soon. And I'm like, no, they're not. We're in our fucking 30s. They got like 20 more years. It's not that big of a deal. Let's just do our own thing. And this year I finally got to do my own thing. And I was like, for all the people that felt sorry for me, and you told that story, Locke, generally speaking, an empathetic person would go, oh, sorry, Locke, you got some tough family dynamics there. No, man.
I don't want
any. Thing sets you free around the holidays. You don't have to
I don't need sympathy.
Anything that you don't want. Oh, I know you don't. That's why I asked if your dad leaving had anything to do with you.
So the funny,
I am sure that I'm dealing with some shit from my youth. Like, I'm sure of it. Probably. And we could unpack it for the rest of the pod if you want. But I will say this is one thing that I remember somebody bringing it up, or I brought it up to somebody and they went, wow, that explains you a lot. So I have been a very angry man most of my life. And I think it can actually boil back to one particular event. When you're 7 years old and your dad sits you down, you and your sister, and your mom's bawling her eyes out in the corner.
I shouldn't laugh. Sorry.
And he says to you, I'm leaving. You have to take care of your mom and your sister, son, and then fucks off.
Was he drunk?
That's easy to deal with as a 7-year-old.
Terrible.
Yeah, I'll straighten this place out.
Terrible. Well, just give me the keys to your car, Dad. I'll go get the groceries.
And you know what? My dad's
That's
a
terrible.
good guy. I mean, they made mistakes. They got caught in a situation. The fact that I have a vivid memory of that, and it's one of like 3 of my childhood memories.
We have a lot in common.
Probably says something.
I'm so sorry, Lachlan, to break this to you, but we have a lot in common.
I know, James. Past the age of 10. I don't remember shit.
Jamesy?
Probably because of trauma.
I got I can't remember. I was like 14 or something, and I got like grounded.
and we're laughing.
You gotta laugh at this shit.
He's like, sorry. He goes, I can't remember anything past before my 10th year on this planet, probably because of trauma, and I'm dying laughing.
Well, we've all been there, right? We're laughing because we recognize it. Oh,
James,
laughter is what I used to mask my pain. This is
you and I met for a reason. We truly did.
When I was 14, I got grounded, and so in true James form, I went up to my room, climbed out the window, scaled the house, and went to my girlfriend's house. And I stayed there overnight as like a 14, 15-year-old. And when I came home the next day, my mom's like, Jamie, I'm going to have to sit you down, and we're going to have a talk. And I'm like, okay. Your father and I, we were thinking of splitting up a lot over the years, but last night when you left, we knew that it was the right time to get a divorce. I'm like,
that's way worse.
What? And she's like, yeah, but don't be upset.
It's not your fault.
Don't be
son.
upset.
You know, the joke was on her because 2 years later, I dropped acid and confessed that I had a kid to her while she was drunk, and she didn't remember the next day. So,
Wow. All right,
That was
you
good time.
win.
That's
I don't wanna
Tara
win.
Graves.
I
Tara
wanted to
Graves
talk
says, "Oh
about
my God,
Chris-
James, you win."
I wanted to talk about Christmas just for a second because
Hang on. We're not done with.
Oh, let's
We're not done with
fucking
kudos.
just
We're not done with
completely
kudos to you,
Destroy a fucking other holiday. That's
dude.
that's fun.
That is like a movie, he says. And then Christy's like, "I ran away for 2 weeks and no one even noticed. That would fucking suck."
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Oh my
My
God,
mom
there's
still
some
thinks I'm in
serious-
her basement.
James, I'm sorry. That's terrible. That
Oh,
that
it's
happened.
fine.
Oh.
No damage done. But what I was going to say, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Okay. Wow. All right, I'll be here all week. Try the
so
pain.
much damage. So much damage. It's everywhere. It's
Right?
everywhere.
What else
And
can
we're
you do?
laughing.
What else can you do but laugh at it, though? Right?
You know what? You have
Nothing.
to. You fucking have to. You have to realize why it's shaped. Like I am shaped by my. We had a conversation this morning, and we were talking about the royal family, okay, and Prince Andrew, and I released that tweet last night about the fact that. Does anybody actually think this guy's fucking innocent? And 90.
Because you like the Royals. You like the
I hate the
Royals.
Royals. I fucking hate the
You love
Royals. So
them.
Prince
You're the
Andrew is
bull.
clearly guilty. Everybody on the planet thinks
Yeah.
he's guilty.
Total
Right?
pedophile.
Total fucking pedophile. Should be in jail. Isn't because he's a royal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are things in our lives that shape us and who we are, and we come out the other end because of it. I was kicked out of school for showing up at a school dance when I was in grade 10 or 11. I was hammered. And there was like 8 or 9 of us that all got caught at the same dance. Many of them, my friends that I hung around with, okay? At the end of it all, after the meetings, because the parents had to come in and meet with the school board and the principal and all this shit. Do you know what your son did? And this is bad. And why is he drinking? He's underage, blah, 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 blah. So my mom comes in, has the meeting, and then takes me home, and then tells me that I have to spend 3 weeks at home. So I get fucking suspended for 3 weeks.
That's
okay?
a big suspension.
I'm one of 3 kids that got suspended out of the 9. The other fucking dickheads were like, Dad was a cop. Mom was on the school board. Dad was a principal. Dad owned a fucking car dealership. That's how they got off. They had influence in the town, the small little fucking piece of shit town in BC, right? Honestly, that was a very valuable, and I remember being so fucking angry, and it took me years to turn it around. Like Dean said, and I have done it that was a valuable lesson for me.
Mhm.
The world we live in isn't fucking fair, right?
No.
Bill Cosby's walking around. He raped 50 fucking women, and he's
More
going
than
to
that.
the fucking Starbucks this morning for a fucking coffee.
With
Yeah.
OJ.
Probably
And an egg
more.
bite.
Yeah, with
an egg bite.
OJ's golfing in Vegas right now. The world is
Yeah.
fucked. We
Donald
are
Trump.
li-
Donald Trump is. He
He's the
exists.
president of
He was
the
the
United
fucking
States.
president.
Fucking criminal.
But this is the thing. This is what I'm saying is that you guys will never be able to manage you can't manage the world. So manage your response to the world and look at your situations like, oh, I don't have to go to 12 different houses for Thanksgiving because my dad left when I was 7. I don't have to do the fucking tour of duty around Christmas because my mom and dad sat me down the day I ran away and said, we're breaking up and it is your fault, James.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. You know what's
You know
weird
what?
though? When you
You're
get
right. I need to
older
do a
and you
better-
want like Christmas and Thanksgiving have become politicized, especially since I left Toronto and came up to the middle of nowhere. Because this year I was like, you guys live in Brampton and Toronto and Durham region. I ain't going down there. You know, I'm just not. It's like hot spots of Ontario. But if you guys want to come up here, I have more space, this, that, and the other thing. And they just won't do it. Like we're all like British now because of COVID. You know, we just don't care about our relatives. We're pretty distant. You know what I mean?
Dude,
And
that's
there's this
exactly
thing-
true.
And like I'm not religious, but every year my sisters and I would pray to Saint Christopher to off my stepmother, right? And it was like a tradition, and we really enjoyed it. And now we can't do that because they won't fucking make the drive.
Oh, fuck them and their
You could do
unhateful
it over
hearts.
Zoom.
Yeah,
You
you could do a death prayer over Zoom with anybody.
I never really did take the Silk Road website by the balls. I could have done some damage with that website.
No, you know what? That's actually really good advice, Dean. And as the person that has become pretty much my counselor over the last year, I will take your advice once again and try to practice it moving forward.
As
should.
As the devil on your other shoulder, Lachlan, I strongly advise that you reconsider listening to that counsel. Really?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, staying angry is the best. No, staying
like-
angry. Dude, here's the thing. Is that you were never, when you were 7, this is what no one told you when you were 7. Like, after your mom said, Dad's leaving, and it's probably because you can't stop putting your fingers in your ass lock. Or after James's mom was like, hey, we're leaving because of you. Yeah, I know. Because that's what you did. You did put your finger in your ass when you were a kid. But when they told you that, someone should have been right behind him going, hey, listen, your only job as a child is to survive the mental illness your parents have until you're 18, and then you're on your own. Don't worry about anything until then. Because that's literally, when I listen to your story and I listen to James's story and I consider my life, because my dad he liked to fucking beat the shit out of me. It was like 20-style boxing when I was like a kid, and I was the only kid that got beat. And now I'm like, guy's my best friend because he's like, oh, fuck, it's all I had. I was like so mentally out of it. All I knew was to do that, and I was scared, and I was young, and I was stupid. But now, we've got a great relationship because I understand that it's really, did he do those things? For sure. But we all did the best we can. Like, you're doing the best you can. James is doing the best he can. Everybody's doing the best they can with what they've been taught. Not that your parents can skate for taking off, but at the same time, there's your response is the only thing that matters to this situation at this point. Like, fuck, it's all gone. It's dead. It's yesterday. So how are you going to get through it? And I get through it by going, I had the best fucking Thanksgiving I have had in 25 years. Because I didn't have to show up with any yams in a fucking car full of kids screaming and yelling that they have to go to the bathroom. Like, that was incredible to me. I didn't have to sit and listen to my girlfriend's sister drunk tell me how much she hates my girlfriend and everything else. Like, I didn't have to listen to any of that stuff. And you know why? Other people's dysfunction brought me to this place. So it's the best. You can do the same thing too. It's called not giving a fuck. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. I need
manage
to do a
your
better job of
response.
that.
As long as we can stop pretending that cranberry sauce is good, I'm down with that kind of Thanksgiving. Cranberry sauce is not good, right?
You don't like
pineapple on
only
pizza
ever
kind of
eat it at Thanksgiving, and I got to agree with you. I mean, I don't absolutely have to have it. And the worst one is the moms and dads that make it from scratch, thinking it's better because just get the shit in the can.
Other than lemon and mango, warm fruit with meat? No, not a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Do not show
a chance.
pictures of that fucking Jell-O again. Don't. I know exactly.
I won't.
I can see
I won't.
it.
I won't.
It'll be
I
the
won't. I want to show you a different picture. I want to show you a different picture because you know what we talk
better
about all
not
the
be a
time?
picture of that Jell-O
No.
with the fucking meat in it.
No,
I
it's
still
not.
had nightmares about that this week.
Do you know what we talk? Do you know what we talk about? And we just finished talking about it. When good things happen to bad people. How about when bad things happen to fucking bad people? It's called Schadenfreude. You may have heard it. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Adam Skelly?
This is the barbecue.
The barbecue guy. Yeah.
Barbecue guy, yeah. His life's been repoed. This is a guy from Adamson Barbecue. The Toronto Sun ran an article this weekend. Basically, he's out of business. He's had to close all of his fucking stores. When they asked him why he closed the stores, he said, there's no end in sight that doesn't involve discriminating against a segment of society. So I decided to close down all locations. The problem with that is the bail bondsman, which is fascinating. In February, he was billed $187,000 from the city of Toronto, so he owes $200,000 to the city of Toronto.
I was going to say this probably has more to do with all of the fines and shit, right? And then the legal. If he's fighting it, there's going to be legal costs.
Well, hang on. To recoup costs enforced for provincial regulations while spent shutting down restaurants, the majority of the invoice was attributed to the cost of staffing police. If you remember when Adam Skelly was like, fuck the lockdown, I'm going to serve barbecue, and he got into trouble, he got arrested, he was like the fucking flavor of the week in the anti-vax community. Court eventually restricted social media access. The ban was partially lifted in January with the controversial chain shutting down. Oh, yeah. His equipment at all of these locations is now being auctioned off by Beneco Sales Limited along with other contents from 16 other establishments. You know what we call that? You know what we call that in Eastern Canada? We call that a repossession. So all of his professional
So they just took
his
ownership of
professional,
his
like,
shit to pay his
everything.
bills. Okay, so they
Everything.
just put locks on everything, and then they're just going to auction everything off and use that to offset the cost of the fines.
boom, bingo.
Wow.
So this is the same
That's
guy.
pretty
He's
fucking
already
harsh, isn't it?
yeah,
Like,
it's
I
the
know
best.
he's a dick, and I'm not unhappy about it. I'm just saying that seems severe. Like they're throwing
did
the
it.
book at him, right?
No, he did it. So not only did he not pay rent at several of these locations, he didn't have a business license at any of them. And all the equipment that he was using was leased. And so what happened was, over the course of the last year and a half, since the lockdown and since all this bullshit has happened, he's wasted $350,000 of that GoFundMe account that he had, gone, on fighting the government to try to not allow him to get vaccinated. Like, that's been the thing for him. It's been like he's taken all that money and he's poured it into this fucking stupid fight, like trying to fight the government. He's not going to fucking beat the government. He's not going to win. He's not going to win against fucking the Constitution. He's not going to win against an emergency act. So what he did was he took all that money and he shoved it into this effort, and then he decided he wasn't going to have anything to do with this business, wasn't going to be paying any of the rent, wasn't going to keep anything up to date, wasn't going to pay any of the leases on any of his equipment. And so because of that, the landlord seized all the equipment in every single one of his locations, and now they're selling it off. And my point is this.
How many locations did he have?
3.
3. Okay.
3.
Well,
and he did a brisk business up until this. Like, he actually had 3 locations all over the GTA.
I heard his brisket
barbecue was
actually
apparently
decent.
unbelievable. Yeah.
And
Now it's gone. And my point is this: is that it's starting, right?
Yeah.
Like the outing of these fucking lunatics as captains of chaos who aren't interested in the greater good. If you were sitting there wondering, how does this guy have $350,000? How is that possible that I'm working an hourly shift and I got vaccinated? I'm doing my best. And this guy gets ahead and he's such a piece of garbage. How is it possible?
Well, the Chris Sky thing too, drives a fucking Land Rover, and like, I mean, it's so frustrating to watch these people. But I agree with you. I think it is catching up, and it's catching up to the Chris Skies too as well.
Oh yeah. And Randy Hilliard. Did you see what Randy Hilliard did this week?
No.
You see this? So there's a little nugget of information that came out yesterday about.
So he was threatening people.
Who? Randy Hilliard?
Yes, like he was making death threats to coworkers and stuff like that. Is this an extension of that?
No, it's a new one.
Okay.
It's a new one, dude.
Wow.
This is incredible.
Good
This
for
news
him.
is incredible. Listen to this. So I did a little research on the weekend, and my friend Ryan Imgren, who's a biostatistician, sent us some stuff, and he told us that Randy Hilliard's riding of Landmark, just east of here in Ontario, has the highest vaccination rate in the country by a fucking mile. Look at this chart. So if you go down to the L's, you see Kingston, Frontenac, Lambton, Leeds, Grenville, and Lanark. Lanark is his district. I believe it bleeds into a couple of other districts, but mainly that's his district. Look at the vaccination rate of people in his riding. 93%. No one's even fucking close
that's
to that.
12
across
plus.
the province.
Okay, on the far right. Okay.
93% of people 12 plus eligible for the vaccine are getting it. This fucking jackoff has made no difference in that conversation in his community.
Well,
Zero.
That's good to see.
It's like they fucking don't care. Yeah, it's fucking incredible. That's what I'm saying. It's happening. Look at him. There he is with a smoke hanging out of his mouth.
Have you tagged him?
Oh yeah. But he blocked me. So yeah. I've sent this to all of them. But look at this. He's sitting there. Do you know what he's doing here? Because I got this from his daughter's actual Twitter feed. And his daughter said that effectively, this is her dad trying to build like some kind of hunting hut so that when the police come for them, he can split and head up there.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's happening. Like, all you people that are pissed off that all these anti-vaxxers are getting all the goodies and we get nothing, and look at them, how are they allowed to operate? Adam Skelly's entire life has been fucking repossessed as of this weekend.
Yeah.
And Randy Hillier's riding has the most vaccinated people on the planet and who don't give two fucks about him. Look at him. There he is. He's got a vaccination rate of 93%. It is the highest in Canada by far. Sorry, Locke. Go ahead.
The one thing that I am a little bit concerned about, and again, not that I want to open up this rabbit hole, because we definitely do end up focusing on this quite a bit on this pod, and we want to talk about the fight before we finish up. But I will say this. Last week, we had a conversation just before Thanksgiving, and I think I might even have alluded to it on the Friday pod about, if you've got a loved one that you haven't been in touch with in a while, just touch base, make sure that they haven't got somebody in their ear making them, getting them to make decisions that might be harmful to their health. And because we got a situation in Jimmy's building where the caretaker, who is like older than dirt's, being influenced by this fucking idiot that lives there, and like he's an anti-vaxxer, and like if she gets COVID, she's gonna fucking die. She's a heavy smoker, and she weighs like literally 87 pounds. I think I might even be 7 pounds off on that. Like she's just tiny, and obviously in her late 80s, possibly even in her early 90s, and and listen, it's the elderly that are the most impacted by COVID-19, and she probably should have got the vaccine, and she hasn't. So, make sure you get on the phone. And then I got an email, which I sent to you, Dean, because I knew you'd find it funny, but this woman highlighted about 5 or 6 things about ivermectin and the vaccines and why, you have to be critical about your thought process and in gathering information about what we're dealing with, and you better look at all this stuff. And my first instinct right away was, I need to show her that all this information she has in front of her is fucking wrong. Right? Like it's all been debunked. None of it's true, right? It's just, it's fake stories. I don't know where they're coming from, but the fact that that they're not from reliable sources, and that's the only thing that these people seem to trust, makes them sort of, so this separation that we're in, I think is a bigger part of the concern for me than a guy like Adam Scully or whatever, the barbecue fucking guy, losing his business. And that's, to me, that's not an indication that things are getting better, that we're getting on track. I think things are getting worse. I think we're becoming more and more divided. I do. And the fact that Randy Hillier's riding, that doesn't give me comfort, because I'm seeing like an increase in the craziness of this pandemic and what it's doing to people. And I don't know the way back. Like in her email to me, this woman said, don't even bother, in a roundabout way. It was subtle. She was like, don't even bother sending anything to me because it'll be from a mainstream source, and I don't believe in that. We're being lied to by everybody. Like, how the fuck do you combat that? Like, you don't fix that.
You don't. It's not your job to fix it. That's what I've been telling people. It's it's not your job to fix these people. It's not your job to go, I'd like to send her some fucking facts. I'm facted out. I'm not sending these fucking idiots facts anymore, or battling people with like, you remember last week how the dude in that Christian blog, Brian Peckford, do you remember that?
Yes.
And he was like, this doctor's running around Alberta and he's giving people ivermectin and it works. And
she said that was part of the email.
Yeah, and we debunked like the whole thing verbatim, and it had like 400,000 page views last week. Do you remember that? Yeah. Like it was all fact. Like it was a Christian blog that pulled a video off of BitChute of this fucking lunatic doctor named Dr. Daniel Nagass, and he was standing on the steps of an art gallery in front of no one giving a speech, and they said that was the seminal speech of ivermectin's use and how the government's trying to fuck over Canadians and no one cares about people. It's like, it was all a lie. Like the whole fucking thing was a lie. And I put out this thing to debunk it. I got death threats. Literally death threats. I got people saying they knew where my kids go to school. I got all that stuff. And you know what? I believed none of it. Zero. And here's why I didn't believe them. Because these are the same people that go, fuck you, I'm taking horse pills. And you're like, go ahead. And they're like, fuck you, it works. And you're like, I don't care. And they're like, I do. And if you don't agree with me, I'm going to fuck. That's all they want. All they want to be is legitimized. And if you ignore them, literally, like we've ignored Adam Skelly, and Adam Skelly is now having his life repossessed by the bank and the government, and he's going to have a terrible fucking life. Randy Hillier, 92% of his fucking constituents, 92% are vaccinated. All this dumb fuck has done for the past year and a half is talk about how you shouldn't get vaccinated. He's the MP for the region. He's the government representative for that region. So not only do people not listen to them, the fastest way you get rid of them is to laugh at them. Like I laughed at this video of this kid. Like you would look at this video and go, I can't believe parents are doing this. These are parents picketing the children in front of school, a high school. Parents in the States standing there screaming at kids about the vaccine and how fucking terrible it is for them. Watch the video. I love this, and I'll tell you why.
I watched this 30
that's
times.
Not the video. Yeah, did you see?
Find out how dangerous these vaccines are.
Fuck off.
These are experimental vaccines. Protect yourself, educate yourself.
Fuck off. Did you hear that? This kid's walking by because kids are getting it too. Everybody's starting to get into it. Watch it.
Find out how dangerous these vaccines are.
Fuck off.
Did you see the woman's face too? Like full of Botox. This broad. Face full of fucking needles. Face full of Botox. She's standing there yelling at kids saying, you're not allowed to fucking get the vaccine. It's gonna These people are going to be societal footnotes, and we should be enjoying the content while it's here, because there's going to be a time when they're just going to be a fucking Facebook meme. Like, remember that time when? They'll be like those, and I hate to say it.
I don't know, man.
But it's like when we go, how did the world lose its mind in 1939? Same thing.
I hope
Same
you're right,
thing to
man.
me.
I really do. I honestly hope you're I hope you're onto something here, because my concern is that we got this growing dissent, and that it's just going to continue to fester.
There's to me there's no dissent. You know what there is? There's common sense. There's serious people and not serious people. These people are not serious individuals, so they don't matter. They don't matter.
They think they are.
don't.
They think they're smarter than everybody, Dean, though.
It's called Dunning-Kruger syndrome, by the way. There's a whole syndrome named after it. It's when you are so incredibly stupid that you don't have the ability to understand objective reality, but you fight like you're going to the electric chair because you actually believe you're right. It's literally like not having the cognitive ability to understand common sense or the reality that you live in, and it makes you so angry that you fight because you don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like watching someone throw their hands up when they're trying to, do Lego, and they don't have the dexterity for it, and they go, oh, fuck it, I'm not interested in this. It's the same thing, only they get angry and get over engaged, and then they start telling other people. And you're right, it's been fucking incredible to watch. Guys like Adam Skelly, he's put out a series of videos talking about the constitutionality and how he's going to wipe his ass with the government. Chris Sky, series of videos. I'm going to wipe my ass with the government. Fuck you guys. The guy's he's in court today. In Blind River, Ontario.
I can't believe he's not in jail, though.
Well, if they weren't white, they would be.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right?
Yeah. Are we doing the
it's
fight?
Fun to watch, though.
Are we doing?
I don't think so. I can't. Jamesy left, and I don't know if Bruckman's going to show up. So
okay. All right. We can talk about it another. Did you watch the fight?
Yeah, it was incredible.
I watched highlights. I didn't watch
Fury Wilder, best fight I've ever seen. Yeah. Boxing's back, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think boxing's back. I was watching the fight. I was interested in the fight.
Yeah, those two are definitely revitalizing a sport that's been in trouble for years. Oh, yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been incredible. We'll catch up with Bruckman another time. He was supposed to stop by, but he bailed, and James bailed too because he's got kid problems. He said, "Got to go. Got something to do with the kids." I'm like, "Fuck, go do what you got to do."
All right, brother.
It's a shame because we were having a fun time, but that's okay. We'll have a fun time again tomorrow. Thanks for doing this, dude.
That was a good one today. That was fun, man. Thank you.
Yeah. One more thing before I go. If you haven't worked out for 20 years and you show up to a Thanksgiving bash and someone says, "Hey, remember that rope swing we used to enjoy when we were kids? Want to do it again for sake?" And you've gained 120 pounds since the last time you were on the rope swing. Don't do the rope swing. Did you hear the
Play it
noise?
again. Play it again. Yeah.
Did you hear the noise her body made when she fucking ate shit? Did you hear? You've got to be kidding me. That was a human body landing on the dirt, a good fucking 4 feet short of the target of mass body of water on a rope swing. Don't do it if you haven't done this in a long time. It's bad. Listen to the sound her body makes. Here we go. And
I've watched too many of those videos. I'm not even proud to admit it. Where like there's like fat guys, fat girls going into the water on a rope swing. I don't know why, but I've watched. I can recount in my mind right now about 30 different ones that I've seen.
It's my favorite genre of fail video. It's the rope swing one where like someone forgot that they gained 100 pounds in the last 20 years and they haven't done an upper body workout ever. And they're like, I'm going to give the fucking rope swing a go. See how it goes.
There's a really good one. Oh, God bless her. There's a really good one of a guy that decides he's going to help a bigger lady. So he goes on the swing with her.
And it's carnage, is it?
Yes.
Now I want to find it. I got to find this fucking video because
I think it's out of Jamaica.
Is it? A couple people. Here you go. 3, 2, 1, and
awesome.
Have a great day, dude. Great to see you.
That was fun. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
You got it. Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. That is Ruthilda, who needs a fucking neck splint. Look at this. Oh, my God. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't write that kind of comedy. It just kind of happens. It has to happen to a certain person, too. And when it does, everybody's got to see it. I hope she's all right. Actually, I don't really care. I'm just thankful for the comedy. Oh, my God. Hope she's okay. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much to Mubin Shaikh for coming in. Undercover Jihadi is the name of his documentary. It's so fucking good. You got to watch it. He's a Canadian hero. He really is. And a hero to humanity. So follow him at Mr. Mubin Shaikh on Twitter as well. Follow the guys at Lachlan Cross on Twitter, at James D. Fiore on Twitter. Thank them for joining us today as well. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks to our friends over at Ed's Fine Imports. His Gitch are the best. Luxury underwear, boxer briefs, pouch in the front. Gitch and the number 3, GITCH, then the number 3. That's your promo code for a free pair of underwear when you order anything from edsfineimports.com, clothing for men and boys. Check them out today. Also, hi, and thanks to our friends over at Domination, DMNTN. Domination.com is the number 1 AI software for people that produce content. And if you do it on a daily basis, it'll make your life a whole bunch easier. Free to try. Go and try them today. DMNTN.com. Again, DMNTN.com. Easy Auto Financial. If you're looking for a vehicle, these guys are the best. They're my friends, and they want to get you in a car. They don't care about your credit rating. They care about making sure you get in the vehicle that you want and hooking up every little detail. So all you got to do is show up, turn the key, and drive away. That is what they do. Go to Easy Auto Financial. Doesn't matter if your credit's bruised or shit. They want to deal with you. So give them a call. No obligation. Just go to easyautofinancial.ca and check them out today. And Blue Microphones, the official microphone and supplier of tech to DeanBlundell.com, Logitech group of companies. Use everything they have. We all do. We're now an 80 podcast strong network, and we love what we do. We love working with these guys, and you will as well. Go to @bluemic.com for more information, or Blue Microphones on Twitter. Check out everything they do, what they have to offer for you too. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. See you tomorrow, Wednesday tomorrow. And a quick heads up to James Sharman from our Footy Prime, or his Footy Prime soccer podcast, the voice of soccer in Canada. I just want to apologize for fucking up our golf game today. Totally my fault. It's like the third time I've done that to James, so he probably thinks it's something to do. No, I'm a bad planner. Terrible planner. Sorry, James Sharman. Have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Uy, tama, Elias.